very excited to be speaking with y'all today and to have Alanna Tia from Calligratia with us. And she's going to be asking all of your burning questions. So if you have any questions of your own, please make sure to ask them as well. Okay, let's see. Now I'm just going to, add. Awesome. Okay, and make sure that I added Alanna. Okay. Okay, she hasn't shown up yet, so we'll just wait. I hope that you're all having a beautiful day. It was really stormy earlier, so I'm glad that it's finally brightened up. Okay, so for a moment. And let me know if you can hear me or not, because I'd hate for that to happen as well. Okay, still adding Alanna.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Awkward. I'm doing. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I had to use I have like one of those little tripod things. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, a tripod would have been
So
smart. I didn't even think about that. I've got one, but that's okay.
So do you want to kind of introduce yourself and tell everyone about what you do?
Sure. So I am in Columbia, Missouri. This lighting is not great. Okay. And I started calligraphy about 2 years ago, and it was just for to be able to write nicely on envelopes to my friends and family for birthday cards. And then I started really getting into it, and I discovered that I can make this a business, and it became just this burning passion, and then it just kind of blew up from there. So yeah, so I've just kind of followed along and done the best I can, and I was going to school, and I have a home daycare, and I actually have a baby sleeping right now, so I'm really hoping that he stays asleep. Otherwise, I might have to pop off and give him a bottle real quick. But yeah, so it's been the journey of starting to become educated and get this all started, and thankfully I found Sarah, and she just motivated me, not directly but indirectly. It was just this great motivation to find the wedding stationery boss group to really get things rolling. So yeah, so now here I am, and I'm on my way of getting my website set up. I'm finishing up my first suite. Finally finishing up my first suite. It's been interesting. It's been a great learning experience. So yeah, that's me so far.
And I'll say that Alanna is one of those people that continues to learn every single thing. Let's see. Someone says my video is frozen and I cannot hear you at all. I don't know if it's your end or mine. Try restarting or refreshing your browser and then doing it again. Crafty wings. But I'll see. Let's see. Because someone else said that they could actually hear, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
If you can hear, let us know. If you can't,
sorry,
let us know. Rebecca says seems fine to me. Melody says I can hear and see fine. So you might just have to restart if you can't hear. You know, technology can be horrible. What I was saying was Alanna, oh yes, she refreshed and she's fine. Awesome. Okay, so Alanna has always, I've always seen her in different groups, and she's always been so like engaging with everyone and has really pushed yourself. I can tell, before we even met. And I think one of the first things that we actually said to each other was, like, I can see how engaged you are within the community and everything. And I was totally being honest with that because I can see her everywhere. Oh, I hear the baby. But
I
Alanna
know.
has
He's
been
starting.
amazing. So I'm really glad she's a part of the
Thanks. I
group,
really
and she
appreciate that.
is a Diamond member as well.
I need all the education I
So
can
do we
get,
want
and
to?
so it's,
Yes, I agree. For all of us, we're always going to be learning.
yes, and
So
I
if
think you
you
need
want to, we
to.
can get started with the
hmm
questions.
Sure. Okay, so there's a question about marketing, and I've got some of my own, but we'll start with marketing because that's something that Crafty, I think, was asking about. So, when you first started, did you pay for marketing? How did you market yourself when you first started?
Um, so it was pretty much, I have a background in graphic design and marketing, so it was really easy for me to kind of like hop on the social media trains and kind of really push myself out there because no one's going to know that you do what you do unless you actually show that what you do. And I think that's like the biggest thing is just really like exposure and try and get it within like a bunch of communities. I did a lot of Rising Tide Society. I got clients from there when people would be like in search of this and this. Locally, I talked to a lot of people. I was fortunate to work at a newspaper publishing company where I interacted with people all the time, and they would say, "Oh, so do you do, what are your hobbies?" And I'd be like, "Oh, graphic design, or not graphic design, but calligraphy, hand lettering." And they'd be like, "Oh, well, can you do this and this and this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I can definitely do that." Whether I had experience in it or not, that was a different question. But I knew that if I, pushed myself and put my head, into it, then I could do it. I think it's, kind of just, I don't want to say it falls into your lap, but you kind of make your own exposure by, kind of trying to put yourself out there, meeting new people because those people don't know anything about you. And if you kind of go along and say, like, yeah, I'm Sarah, or hi, I'm Alanna, and I do this, this, and this, and they're like, okay, so I need to like contact her if I ever need that, or I need to contact her if anyone ever needs that.
hmm Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so engaged and so out there is so that people know who I am, which is,
Mm-hmm.
but then I kind of live in a bubble and I think you know me, and it's like, yeah, I'm all over the place. Why wouldn't you know me? But so, but yeah, engaging, networking, definitely that's the best way. Did you ever pay for marketing?
I paid for marketing twice. So I paid for the Style Me Pretty, not the little black book, but the one I think it was like right above it for a listing for a year. And I did get a few clients from that, which, I pretty much paid it back, like the marketing fee, which is something that you need to think about. Like, depending on how much it is, you need to see like, okay, if I put this much into it, I'm sorry, I'm about to sneeze. I thought I was. I was like I was right on the edge of it. I'm still recovering from a sinus infection. So, and then another thing is, you need to make sure that you get that back, not, just like get the whole amount back, but try and get it back more than once. So like maybe three times the amount, which I was really fortunate to, be able to get it back multiple times over. And then I did a magazine where I actually used to work there, so I actually got the pricing half off. Now, if I hadn't worked there and gotten the 50% off, honestly, I probably wouldn't have done it. I only got one client from that, and it wouldn't have paid for that listing if I did have to pay for it full price. So that's definitely, something to think about as well. I also worked for another magazine beforehand where I did a lot of illustrations, and they actually paid me for that. So not only did I get exposure, but they also, gave me money for it. So I was compensated. And, people ask like, oh, okay, who did the illustrations here and there, of like the different venues? We did like a bunch of like road trip kind of sections where, like point A to point B, and like you can go down like this line to find all of these awesome like venues and awesome like places to stay, like bed and breakfast. So that was definitely something as well. And a lot of us are creatives in the essence that we do watercolor, acrylic, other things like that. So there's always a chance that you could, contact your local publishing company, magazine, anything like that, and say, hey, I'd love to, if you're interested, I would love to um, give you some editorial illustrations that you can place in your magazine. Of course, that doesn't always help, but it doesn't hurt to ask either, because that's what I did. I contacted a lot of people, and then only like maybe 2 people were like, yeah, let's work together. So it's definitely a give and take in a way.
Okay. And how much was Style Me Pretty to that you paid for the marketing for that?
I can't even remember.
Remember?
I'm
Is
plugging my
it a
phone
while
in, by the
ago?
way.
Okay.
Let's see. It was last year. So I want to say like uh, maybe 500, 600.
Sarah,
Um, Sorry about that.
that's
Let's
okay.
see. I think it was like 500 or 600. But that really depends on the tier that you're kind of going for. So like Little Black Book is more expensive, and then you have to like go through like this whole application process. And then like the one I did was like right before that, and then there's like a basic level too. So one is like
Okay.
more regional, and then one's like more like specific, I would say.
Okay. National. This Little Black Book more
Yeah.
national.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
like Little Black Book is more national, and you can like pinpoint the different areas. I got accepted into Little Black Book this past time, but I haven't like made the plunge to say like I want to work, and do it again.
Okay. All right. So, tell us your typical day. What do you do during the day? How do you spend your time? What does a full-time stationary calligrapher look like?
Well, this is definitely going to be different for everyone, because like I don't just do, invitation designs. I also do like branding, and then I do like the calligraphy workshop. So I'll tell you what today looks like, because every day is so different. Yesterday, I actually did a couple of. I woke up at 8:30, walked 2.5 miles with one of my friends, grabbed coffee. When I came back, I did a couple of jobs while she was still here, and then we went antique shopping. So that was like a very relaxed day
Okay.
because I didn't have much to do as far as like um, this is like one of the worst things is like waiting for people to reply to you in your emails. So like I have a few emails from proposals to design proofs to like waiting for a printer to like reply to me. You can't really do anything in that instance besides, like you can work for your on your own business and stuff. But yesterday, I was just like in such a great mood. It turned out to be a beautiful day. The night was horrible, but the day was awesome. So we went antique shopping. I bought some props and some stuff for my office. And that was pretty much it for that day. And then my internet was out last night, so I couldn't do too much. And then today, I woke up, totally forgot about my ear, nose, and throat doctor's appointment. So I got to call them back. And then I got ready to talk to you. I set everything up. I've looked through my emails, deleted anything that doesn't need to be, and then sorted out the more important ones. I like to do that, so that way I'm not I like to group them to separate. And then the rest of the day, I'm going to be working with my assistant to kind of prepare everything for my workshop that's going to be on Saturday. So pretty much that's kind of how my week before a workshop is I kind of I'm more relaxed during the beginning of the week, and then during the middle and then the end of the week I kind of I'm full force. I knock everything out. So it, a lot of people who are stationers aren't able to do things like that. And a lot of people who are photographers and stuff can't, have the same schedule either. So it just really depends on what works for you. And sometimes, I'm way more relaxed during the day, and sometimes I'm staying up until 4 a.m. working on something. So it depends on, there's that ebb and flow that we always hear about.
Okay. How late were you up last night? Because you are a night owl. I think.
Yeah, the internet was down last night. So I kind of went to sleep at I don't know, 10. Not bad.
That's not bad.
And then I woke up this morning at 8 to go walking, but it was freezing cold weather, so I couldn't do that.
Not going outside with that.
No.
Let's see. Well, how did you learn how to watercolor? Did you take a class? Did you learn online?
It's actually pretty funny. Of course we did it in elementary school and stuff, and that was kid stuff. And then in high school we actually did some watercolor work in my I was in art 2 and art 1, and we did some watercolor work there. And I wasn't too serious about it then either, because I was I'm going to be a pharmacist. So that was that was when I was really into wanting to be a pharmacist. So I didn't really care that much. And then when I got into college, I had this really awesome watercolor class. It was all about the basics, all about, wet on wet, dry on dry, dry on wet, all this other stuff. And, it really opened my eyes to it, and I really loved it. It was so, important for pretty much my journey. And so, when I started working at the newspaper, there was a magazine, or a few magazines associated with the newspaper, and they were hey, can you do new watercolor? And I was yeah, I can. Sometimes you have to, like I said, push yourself and say, yeah, you can do something, even if you don't have too much experience in it. And so that's where I got a lot of my practice from, is doing all of those illustrations in the magazine. So whether you're getting paid for practicing or doing something new, or doing it for yourself, I would say just kind of do it. There's so many resources now. Back then there weren't that many resources. Skillshare is awesome. YouTube in general is awesome, and that's completely free. And there's just so many people out there teaching you how to do certain things. And I think it's up to us, and it's really hard to do it sometimes, but I think it's up to us to kind of really look for those resources and really put our minds to it. because if we don't do it, no one's going to do it for us. And sometimes we don't get those opportunities to like have to be forced to do it. So I, you know, back last year I did a lot of watercolor, like desktop wallpapers, and like just practicing my watercolor. And you can scroll down through my Instagram and you'll see like these little blobs of flowers, and you're like, oh my goodness, like, okay, whatever. And then like you'll see more of my current work and you're like, okay, wow, like that looks way better. And it's just like that progression, trying to find your style, trying to see what works for you. You know, if you are wanting to do more of the abstract stuff, or if you're wanting to do more of like the realistic work, it just really depends on like what you like to do. Personally, I like to do both. The other one's like, you know, the abstract's more fun, of course, but I really like doing like things that are a little more realistic and have more time and effort put into it every once in a while. So just practice.
It really, yeah, practice is what it's really all about. I mean, you can, anybody that's done calligraphy can see where they've come from and where they go, and that's the same with anything that you. It's a 10,000 hour rule. You know, it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at anything. It takes time, lots of time, and patience with yourself too.
Yes, and
a lot of
grace. You
people
have to
get
be like,
frustrated.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, you have to let yourself go. It's okay. It's okay if you're not great all at once. You just keep working at it. But like you said, nobody's going to hand it to you. You have to put in the effort and you have to do the work.
Definitely.
So yeah. Okay, so then another hard thing to learn is Adobe. So in this day and age, if you're not able to go to school to learn it, and even in school, like I took a couple classes, I took typography and then intro to graphic design, and so they started teaching Illustrator, a little bit of InDesign, and a lot of it you still had to learn on your own. So I was trying to figure out to learn on your own. So how would be the best way to learn Adobe if you're not able to go to school? Is
Okay, I
there
think
classes that you know of, or?
there's definitely like Skillshare. We're going to be doing some basic not products, Adobe programs in this course as well. But I think really one of the biggest things is like finding a video where someone's doing something, whether it's um, like photo retouching or like design layout or something, that someone's like showing you how to do something, and follow along with it exactly. So that way you're kind of familiar with it. And I'm not saying like copy exactly what they're doing and then like publishing it for yourself, but kind of what I like to do is, and you know, like even for like the watercolor, I'll see different watercolor artists like show how to do something, and I'll do it exactly like them, but I won't like show it to the world. Like for calligraphy, I used to like see if I could like do exactly how they did certain letters, but I wouldn't show it to the world. I do it for like my own personal practice, just so I could like learn the basics of like how they created that certain A or that M, but I wouldn't really use it for like clients or anything, just like
Right.
for practice. And then so I think one of those things is like it's a lot of motor memorization where the more you do it, the more you're going to be like, okay, this is where the direct selection tool is. This is where the pen tool is. This is where the smooth tool is. And one of my favorite things is to actually have keyboard shortcuts. So a lot of the time when I'm working on something, like the other day I was showing my friend how to do some Photoshop work, and I was like doing all these keyboard shortcuts, and she was like, wait a minute, like what did you just press? You didn't even use your mouse. I'm like, oh, oopsie, let me go back and
Yeah.
like actually show you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you kind of get into your own groove, like the more and more you do it, to the point where it's like second nature to you. I've been using Adobe programs for about 10 years now. I
Yeah.
used to do like Xanga templates and MySpace templates and stuff. So that's kind of like where I learned like
MySpace.
my basics. And
Hmm.
and don't be afraid to like hover over something you don't know what it is. So like if you
Hmm.
see something that looks like, I mean, this is super basic, but it looks like an eraser. Well, hover over it and make sure it's the eraser tool, because when you hover over it, it'll like have a little label to it. And so like get familiar with what each symbol looks like, and that will really help you. So that way when you do see the videos like on YouTube and how they're doing something, you'll be like, okay, she just used the marquee tool, and that's what I need to be using. So that way, you know, it's almost kind of like one of those flashcard things. You see like the symbol of it, and then like you got to know
Hmm.
what the other side says.
Right.
You know, I memorize a lot of the ones that I need to know, and a lot of it carries over from InDesign to Illustrator to Photoshop. So you're not really having to like remember like, you know, like 80 different tools. You're maybe
Hmm.
having to remember like 40, and like um or like 50, and then like 30 of them might be a little bit different. But definitely, you know, kind of do that. And a lot of them will have keyboard shortcuts with them. So like like the direct selection tool is V. Um, the white arrow, I can't remember exactly what that one's called, is A on a
Hmm.
Mac. And so, and it might be on a Windows computer as well. I'm not exactly
It is.
sure. Okay. And so,
Hmm.
you know, just kind of get familiar with what you're actually using, because as an artist, whether we are like a more traditional artist, which I think a lot of us are both, so we use a computer and we use like more traditional formats such as pen, pencil, paints, and
I
stuff
think you
like
have
that.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so,
Hmm.
whether it's a more traditional art or more of a like modern, like graphics art, you need to know your tools. You need to know like the
Hmm.
kind of paintbrush you need to use, the kind of eraser that's like best for a charcoal painting or drawing. And and it's the same thing with, you know, Adobe and everything like that. But yeah, we'll probably do like some mini classes on Photoshop, Adobe, Illustrator, and InDesign, and and that'll be awesome for everyone to kind of like get used to it. But yeah, I mean, you know, you're gonna kind of, the best way to do anything and to like really learn it is to like actually just do it in practice. But
Even if you mess
definitely
up,
get,
and don't be afraid.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you mess up on any of the Adobe thing, Command Z, you're good.
Yeah, I know. That is so my favorite. No, no, Command Z, Command Z. Yeah.
Yes.
So true. Yeah, that was like the best thing I think I ever learned was Command Z. Just, yeah, just go for it. Don't be afraid to mess up. You're not going to break anything on your computer. You just have to um, start over. There's nothing wrong with that.
I definitely
Um,
agree.
yeah, and that's with, calligraphy, that's with watercolor, that's with designing anything. It's just, you know, just don't be afraid. Just go for it. And if you mess up, you mess up. Start over. Um, okay. Let's see. So how do you keep all your clients organized in your head? I know you use Dubsado, but do you use anything else?
I use a good old-fashioned notebook, because
Yes.
I like to have it, you know, right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people that's like, I like tangible things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do the math like on the paper instead of like using a calculator. But then I'll like double check with the calculator, of course. But I mean like I mean I write everything out in a notebook, and you know, and then I'll do like to-do lists, like okay, I need to do this for Sally Joe. I need to do this for Jimmy John. I need to do this for whoever. So I really like to kind of have it right in front of my face so that way I can like know exactly what I'm doing. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people use like Asana,
Trello.
Trello, yeah,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I'm trying to get into those, but I just have to touch something, I guess, like a
Yeah.
pen or a pencil. So,
No, I get it. Yeah, it's too static for me, I think, just being on the screen. I mean, you can move it around and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. I've tried to, and I'd rather do sticky notes than do the Trello. Um, yeah. Okay. Pen and paper. Can't beat that. I got my notebooks. Lots and lots and lots of notebooks.
yes, I
Um,
mean, stick to the basics. You don't have to do anything
yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
just like you
Or
like you said, you
expensive.
really can't beat pen and paper.
No, I mean it's not going anywhere, you know. It's not going to be deleted or, you can't or if your internet's down, you can't log in, you don't have to worry about that. It's just sitting right in front of you. Just finding a good
Exactly.
system. So do you use a planner then or any kind of goal setting system?
I do use a planner as far as like kind of knowing what I am doing throughout the day and what I need accomplished. But for like goal setting, um, pen and paper. I kind of mark what I need to be doing. I use the calendar, um, like, or use the planner, and then I like convert it over to my calendar. So that way, if I'm not around my planner, then my calendar will be like, okay, 30 minutes until you need to do this, or an hour until, or tomorrow you need to do this. So that way, um, I know what I need to do. I just My biggest thing is actually putting it on my calendar.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that too. Yeah. I've got a master calendar for my family and then if I have daily tasks, I'd have to write it down and put it on a sticky or my kids are asking me, "What, Mom, you didn't do this?" And I was like, "Oh, I forgot to write it down. It's not happening." Yeah, I get it. Okay, let's see. Organize your So, uh, can we talk money? Is that
Yeah,
off limits?
we can
Okay.
talk
So,
anything.
how much did you make last year? And how much did that come
Okay,
from? Do you know if that came from branding, if that came from stationery, or what?
do you mean as far as profit or gross income?
Both. So, from gross to profit, how much did you earn?
Okay, let's see. I'm like having to pull it up. And like I've said to everyone before, I am so transparent. I really don't care.
Okay. Well, I mean, some people care, so. And if you
Yeah,
cared,
some
I would have
people
been
do.
okay. That's fine.
I will give you kind of like a range, and then I'll be totally honest with what I made in 2016 too,
Okay.
because you'll be really shocked with 2016. I just have to find it.
Mhm.
So, like I've said before, I do everything in QuickBooks, self-employed, as far as like my expenses, my mileage, transactions, taxes, things like that. It really helps me. And I also have like a 50% off code for y'all in the resource library if you ever want that. So, 2016 was when I officially created Sarah B Calligraphy. I always freelanced under like my graphic design name, which is just like Sarah Barrett. But 2016 was when I really wanted to like go for it. Um, and because and I've talked about this multiple times, because I had kind of like a mental breakdown, to be honest, during like the March, February thing. And I had to like quit my job and like come back home and like say, okay, if I'm really going to do this, I want to do it, you know, like seriously, and I don't want any distractions. So that was like half of the year gone as far as like me just building it up and like buying a lot of stuff for my business, such as I bought a new computer because my other computer was like 10 years old and it was just like lacking the productivity of what I needed. And so I actually, for my profit in 2016, not including my profit from my actual full-time job that I had quit, but I only made like $1,500
Oh, yeah.
that whole second year. And so going into 2017, I said, I am going to make, so I'm going to like multiply that by so much. And I like set a certain number in my head, but I can't even remember it now. And I said, I'm going to meet that, whether like, because I want to make sure that I'm doing what I love, but also, having enough money to pay the bills. Because let me tell you, individual health insurance is horrible and they like rob
A
you for
lot.
every cent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I did a lot of different, in 2017, I went through this stage where I wanted to try and do everything, which I don't advise to a certain extent. Like maybe put your hand in a few honey pots, but not all of the honey pots. So I did mugs, I did prints, I did branding, calligraphy, stationery, invitations, envelope calligraphy, wood signs. By the way, if anyone needs like some wood, please take them off my hands, because I don't do that anymore. And then, and something else, but I can't remember. And so I was, oh yeah, like the consultations and like teaching everything and the workshops. So, all of that was a lot for sure. And so like by the middle of it, I realized like the middle of the year, I realized what I liked and what I didn't like. And so 2017, I won't tell you my gross income. Sorry about that.
All
But
good.
I'll tell you my profit for last
Okay.
year. And you may
Sure.
say that that's not much, but it also really depends on like what I actually bought with that money, such as like you have to think that I paid like almost $5,000 with my health insurance, and
Mm-hmm.
I bought a new computer and I bought all this stuff. So my profit for last year was 25,000,
Well, that's not
which
bad.
which was actually more than my profit for my full-time job.
Yeah. Well,
So,
because you got deductions, you got taxes out of that. You've got,
oh
so
yeah.
if you're making 25,000 and you still have all the deductions that you had to pay for, the taxes that you had to pay for, your insurance, your rent, your
hmm
whatever, that's not bad.
All the kinds of insurance, utilities, and then like,
Hmm.
I eat out a lot because I'm like going places like, and then like trying to have a social life as well, which I don't have much of. Um, and then like I do a lot of, what's it called? I do like a lot of meetings for like business meetings and stuff with other business owners. And so, like 25,000 for my first like full-time year, I was like,
That's
okay,
not
I'm good.
bad.
Because if you think
Yeah,
about it, before in 2016, I got $1,500. So that was a
that's not
huge
bad.
that was
Huge
a
difference.
huge increase.
Right.
And that was because um, I was really trying to build myself up in
Hmm.
2016, not only as far as um, my dad's about to come in.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Daddy. Um, he's been mowing, but only not only was I trying to build myself up physically and mentally, um, but I was trying to like see what I wanted to do as far as my business. Like, okay, I just like risked a really amazing job in a really great location where I could meet a lot of new people. to do this. So it was like, I can't hold back. You know, I have to like go full force. And I definitely did for that first half. And then um, I think you know this, and some other people know this, but you know, I went to physical therapy because I had like a horrible, you know, like neck ache, like I had damaged like a muscle in my neck, and then I found out I had mild scoliosis. So like that was like what all of that was about. And then you know, just really trying to kind of build myself back up and like trying to reinvent myself, because before I was like all about graphic design, editorial design, and branding, and now like I was kind of diving into this whole new world. And if it wasn't for like these Facebook communities, Instagram, and like really
Mm-hmm.
putting myself out there and like meeting people like you and everyone who's like on this video chat, like, I mean, I thank all of y'all for the support, because like I see what you're doing and that motivates me, because I'm like, okay, these people are awesome. They're like doing really great things, and I want to like, I don't know, I want to like swim the tide with them, you know, kind of like those
Yeah,
little, what are they? Are they salmon that go like down the river together or something like that?
up the
Like I
river,
want
but
us
yeah.
all to be, yeah, up the river. I want us all to
That's
be
right.
salmon going up the river.
Little schools of fish.
Yes, because we're always learning anyway, so
We are, and we're a great community too. You know, that's
yeah.
another thing I loved getting into this is I didn't quite understand the friendliness and the kindness of this community, and it was really eye-opening to be able to get out and see that stuff because like I said, I've been doing daycare for a long time and I'm just in my own little bubble. I do not meet anybody new unless I'm at the grocery store. And even then, I try and introduce myself like, I see you every week. And they're like, I don't know who you are. And I'm like, somebody know me. So now it's, you know, it's just kind of fun to have my online friends. I mean, I do have friends, but it's to get, you know, just to be a part of this community that's not a part of my family, that's not a part of my church.
And it's not
And
toxic either.
no, oh my gosh, no. I mean, it's so non-judgmental and and like I said, it's kind and it's forgiving and yeah, I mean, it's just it's amazing. So I feel you.
I know this
I feel
community
what
is
you're saying.
amazing. I think
Mhm.
when I did kind of like my business birthday type of thing last year for a blog post, I think one of my first things that I had learned was like to build that community and have that network, because most of us kind of, most of us for the most part don't have someone who really understands in our, I'm going to say, real life. And
Yes.
so it's really nice to like talk to people even if they are on the other side of the world or a few states over, to
Mhm.
actually understand what we're going through. So I love it.
It is. It's pretty awesome. I actually contemplated last night. There was a moment where I thought, "Oh my gosh, what if I have to leave this?" And I thought, "No, not my friends. I don't want to
Not
leave my
my friends.
friends."
It's like
Yeah.
like going into summer when you're in school. Like I'm not gonna see my friends.
Yeah. No, I gotta have my friends. Yeah, and I've never known people all over the world before either. And that's kind of crazy. Sarah, she was, or I don't know if she's still watching, you know, but she's over in New Zealand. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's some other people in an Instagram pod that's, you know, in London and in Chen. I don't know if Chen's watching. I think she was. Um, you know, just all over the world. And it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of mind blowing. It's just fantastic. Love it.
I love it as well.
Okay, let's see. I don't know if I have much else to say. Does anybody got a question real quick? I'm gonna go online. Otherwise, I will just sit and chat, I think, about stuff.
Um,
I'm not good with interviews and
Crafty
burning
Wing
questions.
said, "What website platform did you start off with, and at what
Oh
point
yeah.
did you decide I want my own website?"
I would say immediately and go to Squarespace because it's easy.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's easy, it's beautiful. You have the templates, which are awesome, but if you'll notice on mine, on my website, I started with a template and then I actually used a lot of custom CSS to make it my own. So
Mhm.
my original website that I created like 2 years ago in March was I think it was like called Alex or something, like the template was, and it had like the parallax banner, and I loved it. But the only thing is, it didn't have a sidebar for the blog, and I really wanted a
Oh.
sidebar. And I know that sounds like really petty or whatever,
No, I've
but I
heard that
mean,
that's a good thing to have.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
And I really like the idea of it, you know, being able to like just go to the sidebar, click on whatever. You can like sign up for my newsletter super easily over there as well. Find social media and stuff. And so I was like, okay, I need something that's like the Alex, but has the sidebar. So I finally found one, and I can't remember what it's called, but it starts with an A as well. And I I got it and fell in love with it, but the only thing is it didn't have a parallax banner. So what I did was I went to Square Studio. Like you can Google that, and they have like lots of codes that you can buy. And I found a parallax thing, and I found a testimonial slider, and I found all this other stuff that really kind of made my website more to my liking. I definitely agree with Squarespace. And about what point did I decide I needed my own website? I've always had my own website. Ever since I went to college, I had my website. So that was always one of those things that, like, okay, after my branding, I'm doing a website. And so one week, this was actually the week before I quit my full-time job. I said, when I quit, I want to make sure that I have a website running, pictures on there, all my branding, and like my business license and everything like figured out. And so like that whole week, I did mock-ups, and this is like so stupid of me. Because we all make mistakes in the beginning for sure, and like throughout pretty much. But I feel so dumb now because I'm a graphic designer, and I didn't even think about doing my mock-ups in Illustrator. So I literally did all of my mock-ups by hand. Wasted so much fabulous fancy pants paper, wasted so much other kind of paper, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But that was because I saw everyone else doing it by hand. And I saw, and
Mhm.
at this point, no one was doing it like through the design. And at some point, I was like, wait a minute, duh, like face palm. I need to be like actually using my skills, because a lot of um, the style shoots that I was looking at were more for like, you know, like calligraphers and watercolorists and artists and stuff like that, but not really designers. So that's when I
Mhm.
kind of like flipped the script on myself and was like, I'm designing a whole bunch of like other mock-ups and stuff. So,
Good.
and I'll be honest with you, for the first part, let's see, for the first 7 months, my website was all mock-ups. I had a few like branding logos that I did get paid for, but for the most part, those were mock-ups. I did wood signs that were mock-ups. Actually, a couple of them are still on my website. Um, and and I think that's like the biggest thing is like sometimes, even if, and this is what I was talking about before, even if you're not getting paid for something, create it, push it out into the world, and say,
Mhm.
hey, I can do this. Because
Mhm.
no one knew that I could do marble tile place cards until I actually posted it, and then I got a job for it. So you just really have
Mhm.
to like push yourself and not be discouraged. Like, well, I can't put something fake up there. It's not really putting something fake up there, because
Doesn't matter.
um, in the newspaper world, we did these things called spec ads, where we did these ads for these people, and then we were going to sell that particular ad to them, so that way they would like run in the newspaper. So we actually made a mock-up before it was even sold. And if that particular client didn't like that one, we would slap on a different logo to it and try and sell it to someone else, because someone had to have liked that design. And it's just like with the mock-ups, someone has to like one of your designs. As long as you're like true to yourself, and as long as you're like really working to create a body of work that's like pretty consistent and like speaks to you personally, but also is like really good for like this specific niche you're going for, you're going to be good. Someone is going to like it. I promise you. It might take a little bit, but you'd rather have quality over quantity any day. Like I'd rather have, and I've tried this before, I'd rather have one $1,500 client than sell 100 $15 prints. So just kind of think about that. And yeah, I've always, if you're going to be if you're primarily an online entity, I would say definitely have a website, because Instagram's all fun and great, Facebook's great, but really like you won't be taken as seriously if you don't have a website. It helps with your SEO, and it helps with like clients actually finding you, because they don't want to scroll through your or your Instagram, click and be like, well, how am I supposed to contact her? You know, you want it to be super easy for your clients. So websites, good. Squarespace, you can do like a trial with that, all that jazz. So
Yeah. I would say go Crafty, and I don't know your first name. Go back and see Sasha's masterclass. That's in the video section. She tells you all the laydown about starting and being professional. I mean, everybody needs a website, pretty much. If you want to be taken seriously, then get a website. Part of the reason why I'm holding back from getting started is because my website's not ready. And I want to show that presence, that professional presence, that I am in this seriously, and that this is me. This is what I do, and to own it. So, yeah.
I
Good
would even say if you
question.
even have like an Etsy shop, to even have a website.
Yeah, Etsy. That's a good platform for marketing too.
And then another thing that you reminded me of, Alanna, is kind of one of the biggest things when like going for interviews and stuff, because that's pretty much what all of this is like interviewing each other to see if you're a match, is dressing for the part that you want. So if your website looks like it's, you know, like from 1990 or something, you know, where it's like all HTML and like you only have like one scroll
Pixelated.
down. Yeah, it's so pixelated and everything. You're not really dressing for the part that you want. So you want a high quality, you know, luxury client. You're going to have a high quality luxury website.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to spend some money. You know, you may not have to spend a lot of money, but you're gonna have to spend some money starting a business. I mean, you just can't get around that. Squarespace is really affordable though, and if you're a student, you can get half off for a year. So that's what I was able to do, because I am taking some college classes here and there. So yeah, that would be good.
It's
Be
literally
crafty
the
to do
price
the
of
bidding for that.
business, and then
It is.
and it's tax deductible as well. So
Yes,
might
it
as well
is.
do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't wait. I can wait to do my taxes, but I've got to get them done. But I will be getting a nice little sum for all that I spent last year. Printing process and quote. Well, it's 2:00. So do you want to do one more, or do you need to go, or what would you
We can
like to
do
do,
one
Sarah?
more.
Okay. Something about the
Printing
printing
process
process and
and
quoting.
quoting. when you send a client sorry, I'm like over here trying to read it. When you send a client a proposal before you know what will be designed, are you going off generic quotes you've already gotten from printers? I think this was covered somewhere already, but how much should mark up the printing cost? So I like to kind of give or ask my printer about how much it would cost. So, and kind of give them like an average thing, like let's do like 100 quantity for 3 pieces this size, and for digital printing only. And so that will kind of give you a really good idea. And I like to mark it up 2 to 3 times, depending on what it is. But you also have to remember that you're not just quoting your client for the actual materials, the ink, the paper, the printing process, and all that stuff. You're actually quoting them for your time as well, such as what is it? Like your labor. So, because that's where you get most of your profit from. You don't, this is a really great example. Let's say you're doing a vintage shop and you buy a chair for $50. You put in 4 hours of work to like try and make it look great, but no one wants to buy it for over like $200, even though you put in so much work and everything. And so you're like, well, maybe if I do like $60 on it, well, you only made like a $10 profit. And if you divide that by the time of labor, which is the 4 hours that you put into it, then that's like a little over $2. Yeah.
That's how much I make.
An hour.
Yeah. I make $2 an hour as a daycare provider. It's great.
Oh my goodness, Alanna.
No, I mean it adds up. But I mean when I break it down like that, that's how much I make. It's $2 an hour, and it's
yeah. And so that's like the most important thing is like knowing how to break it down. And we also have another mini class about that as well.
Yeah, you did a pricing
which is
one,
in your
kind of
video library.
Yep.
And like I went on a whole tangent about it. And so I think it's really important to like know how to break the pricing down, and but you also don't want to like pull numbers out of the air. So because when you do that, which is what I did in the beginning, because I'm doing all of my mistakes just for you, you know, not because I don't know what I'm doing, but because of you. No, I'm just kidding. But this was like 3 years ago. I did like 5 jobs, like when I first got out of college, and my friends and my cousins and stuff were like getting married, and they were like, hey, you're a graphic designer, you can do this for us. And I was like, I sure can. I charged $25 for the design work, for the printing, and for the trimming.
Oh, ouch.
So learn from my mistakes. Don't do that. And I mean, honestly, I didn't really lose money technically, but my time wasn't compensated. So in real life, it's like, yeah, I did kind of lose money, because with that time, I should have been making X amount of dollars. So definitely kind of factor in your time. Right now, I'm charging like, because sometimes I digitize work for other people, and I charge like $75 an hour, depending on what it is. And like maybe next year I'll charge more. Yes, last year I charged 50. This year I'm charging 75, and then next year I'm charging another thing, because I'm getting faster every time, and I want to make sure that my profit margin increases. And that's another thing you need to think about.
And people are still coming to you even though you're charging $75 an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you have a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and it's a fair price.
And it's like quick too. So
yes,
you know, like how I do my things is thanks. Rebecca said, do you mark it up less or more depending on if you're getting retail versus wholesale pricing? Always try and get wholesale pricing, because you're losing money if you do retail, because we should be the retail, not the, you know, because like if we're pricing it like double the amount of retail, then you're not like losing money really, but people are more, less likely to buy from you because it's like, let's say you have something that's wholesale for $2, then retail would be $4, and then if we're buying something retail that's $4 and we're having to make something $8, people aren't as likely to buy something that's just like the printed material and stuff like that for like $8 a piece without like a design fee and stuff. And because like if you think about it, well, this is how other people think about it. They think, oh, a sheet of paper for $8, like I'm not gonna pay for that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing like your wholesale pricing. Find vendors that do wholesale pricing. I'm pretty sure Copper and Willow do wholesale. Yeah, you have to purchase an account with them.
There's
I'm pretty
several. If
sure
you go
AM,
search for the group, there's
yeah.
lots and lots of
There's
wholesale
so
printers.
many. Like, look through this group and becoming a wedding stationery boss. There's so many people that do wholesale pricing because you don't want to not make money. You don't want to risk that opportunity. So definitely try and do wholesale and like stick with someone or stick with at least one or two people that you really trust as well.
For sure. Talk to your local printers. I still haven't done that, but I realized I can't get out of my house. I'm trapped in my house all day. So printing from home for now is just gonna have to be the way it is, and that's okay. I just spent a lot of money trying to figure out my printer. So yeah. um, okay. So did that answer, Rebecca, your question? Was that pretty good? Um, Yeah, you want to make sure you get wholesale if you're buying paper from like Paper Source or something and it's not wholesale, then you can't really mark that up too much. So yeah, but you can get wholesale. You
And
can
Cars and Pockets has a
do that,
wholesale account, announcement
which you have to have a
converters.
website for.
Yeah, very
You have to have
true.
a working upsite. Yeah, I tried that. So
So definitely like look around. There's so many resources now. And if you, I mean, if you want, you can email me and be like, hey, you know, whatever, you know, ones that you use. Like I usually use, I used to use Czar, but I'm really getting to like Copper Willow and AMP Design Co. in Florida. And then I have a local one as well that I really like. But that's more for like digital printing, so.
yeah, I think it just depends on what you want.
Okay, so it is
Yeah.
2:08. Alanna, you ready?
I am. So I apologize for you people watching and it kind of getting vertigo or dizzy from watching my video go all over the place. I have a little baby here who I'm watching and he was needing some help.
So
You see him? Isn't he
cute.
adorable?
Oh my
So yeah,
goodness.
he woke up and I was having to watch him. So yeah, that's my moneymaker right there.
Money maker,
But yeah.
money taker.
Oh my gosh. Yes, for sure. But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm so
Hopefully
glad, and
somebody gets anything out of this. And yeah.
I can't wait to do the next hot seat. Not exactly
Mhm.
sure who it's going to be with, but next week we have a very exciting class with
Yeah.
Grace, and we're going to be talking about typographies. So I'm really excited about
Exciting.
that. And yeah, so thank you so much everyone for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye.
You too. Bye.